They won't understand the war you fought until they see the strength you became. You fought battles no one saw. No applause, no spotlight. Just you, God, and a storm that refused to let up. And you made it. Maybe you didn't come out clean. Maybe you didn't come out without scars, but you came out standing. And that's what matters. That's what makes you different. Because while the world celebrates loud victories, you survived silent wars. You kept walking when everything in you said, sit down. You kept believing when logic said, give up. You kept showing up, broken, tired, doubted, but you showed up. See, people think strength is loud, that it's muscles and bravado, but real strength, it's quiet, it's calm, it's showing up when your soul is cracked open, but you still choose to love, still choose to grow, still choose to believe in something more than pain. That's the strength they can't teach. That's the fire that can't be faked. Because you don't get that kind of power from winning. You get it from walking through hell and not losing your heart. You've been through things they wouldn't survive. The kind of battles that don't show up in status updates or Instagram stories. The ones that unfold in silence. Depression that wore a smile. Anxiety hidden behind jokes. Loneliness in rooms full of people. Nights where your tears hit the pillow and you wondered if anybody would ever really understand. But you didn't quit. You didn't fold. And that makes you powerful beyond words. Because anybody can look strong when life is easy. Anybody can act tough when they've got a crowd cheering them on. But what about when there's no one? What about when it's just you, your pain, and a decision to make? Rise or sink? That's when you find out who you really are. That's when you meet the version of you that was never born from comfort, but from chaos. You didn't just survive, you rebuilt yourself, piece by piece, tear by tear, prayer by prayer. You learned how to motivate yourself in silence, how to encourage yourself in valleys, how to keep going without claps, likes, or recognition. You don't need people to understand your pain to justify your healing. This journey wasn't for them. It was for you, for your future, for the version of you that refuses to let trauma have the final word. Because every time they doubted you, every time life hit you with something that should have crushed you, you chose to get back up. Maybe slower, maybe bruised, but you got up. And that's why you're dangerous. That's why your energy speaks louder now. Because pain trained you, not just to survive, but to discern, to protect your peace, to know what matters and what doesn't. You've been battle-tested, and that means your spirit is different. You see things others miss. You feel energy before words are spoken. You know fake from real just by presence alone. And that's the reward of walking through fire. You don't come out the same. You come out refined. So don't you ever let anyone downplay your resilience. Don't let their lack of understanding make you question your strength. They weren't there when you had to talk yourself out of quitting. They didn't see the nights you cried and still woke up with purpose. They didn't feel the weight you carried behind that smile. This isn't just survival. This is spiritual strength. And no, not everyone will understand. That's okay. They weren't meant to. Some lessons aren't for sharing. They're for shaping. Some battles aren't for explaining. They're for evolving. You didn't go through all that to stay the same. You went through it to become unshakable, to stop chasing people and start building peace, to stop apologizing for your depth and start honoring your healing. You are not fragile. You're forged. You are not broken. You're built. Built from pressure, built from heartbreak, built from nights that tested your soul and mornings that required faith just to rise. And now you walk with a quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything, the kind that speaks for itself. Let them wonder how you made it. Let them guess how you stayed calm in chaos. Let them talk about your glow without understanding your grind. Because this strength, it was earned. This peace, it was fought for. And this version of you, it didn't come easy. You're not here to explain yourself. You're here to live fully, deeply, honestly. And you don't owe your story to people who never cared about your silence. You don't owe your strength to those who mocked your weakness. What you owe is to yourself, to that inner warrior who never quit, to the child in you who still believes, to the future you who will look back and say, "We made it." This is your time to own it. Not just your success, but your scars. Not just your light, but your journey through the dark. Because you fought battles no one will ever understand. And you won, whether they clap or not. You see, when you fought in silence, you stopped needing loud victories. When you've been down in the trenches of your mind, of your heartbreak, of your brokenness, you don't come back looking for validation. You come back with vision. You come back with clarity. You come back with this unshakable knowing that everything you went through wasn't in vain. That the storms didn't come to destroy you. They came to reveal you. They revealed your strength. They revealed your character. They revealed the quiet courage that had been waiting inside you all along. You didn't need the world to clap. You needed the fire to burn away your fear. And it did. That's why you walk with so much power now. Not because life's been easy, but because you refuse to let it harden you. You let it teach you. You let it shape you. You let it sharpen you. And that's the thing people won't understand. How your strength was built in solitude. How your peace was built in pressure. How your focus was built in failure. They'll call you lucky. They'll call you blessed. They'll say it was meant to be. But they won't talk about the nights you stayed up battling thoughts that tried to break your spirit. They won't talk about the days you had to fake strength while quietly falling apart. But you don't need them to, because you know. You know what it took. You know what it cost. And you know that the person you are today is the result of choices you made when nobody was watching. You chose not to give up. You chose not to get bitter. You chose to believe, even when everything said not to. And now you're here. Not perfect, but powerful. Not flawless, but focused. Not untouched, but undeniably chosen. Because the battles you fought privately made you a force publicly. You don't move like everyone else now. You move with intention. You don't speak unless it matters. You don't chase noise. You create impact. And it's not arrogance, it's alignment. Because once you've faced darkness and walked through it with grace, you stop entertaining what doesn't serve your purpose. You become selective with your time. You become protective of your energy. You no longer tolerate what you once settled for. Not because you're bitter, but because you're better. Better from the battle. Stronger from the silence. Wiser from the wounds. And this new version of you? It came at a price. But what you gained in the process can't be measured in money or praise. It's deeper than that. It's peace of mind. It's clarity of purpose. It's the confidence to walk alone, if that's what it takes to protect your destiny. You don't need a crowd to feel worthy anymore. You don't need applause to validate your voice. You are the evidence. Your life, your presence, your peace. That's the proof. And while they may not understand how you got here, they'll never be able to deny that you did. Because when you fight silent battles, you develop loud faith. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop folding under pressure. You start becoming unmovable. Not because you're never shaken, but because you've learned how to anchor yourself in truth. And the truth is, you've already won. The moment you decided to rise instead of retreat, the moment you chose growth over grief, The moment you declared that your story wasn't over just because it got hard, that was the victory. So now you walk into rooms not looking for acceptance, but carrying assignment. You understand you're not here to impress, you're here to impact. And whether they recognize you or not, whether they invite you or not, whether they applaud you or not, you're still gonna rise. You're still gonna move. You're still gonna lead. Because the battles you fought gave you something they can't teach. Depth. Real depth. And people can feel it before you speak. They can sense it in how you carry yourself, in your energy, in your presence. That's not something you fake. That's something you earn. And let me tell you something. When you walk in that kind of authenticity, you no longer need to chase anything. Not love, not respect, not opportunity, because it all starts chasing you. Doors open not because you knock louder, but because your spirit speaks truth. And truth attracts what's real. So don't regret the battles. Don't hide your journey. Don't minimize the war you've endured. Because it's not your weakness. It's your witness. It's your testimony. And one day, it'll be someone else's survival guide. You didn't go through all that pain just to keep it quiet. You went through it to lead, to uplift, to ignite faith in someone who's silently suffering just like you were, to be the light in someone else's darkness. That's your power. That's your purpose. You fought battles no one will ever understand, but now it's time to use the strength you gained to build something greater than pain. It's time to walk boldly, speak truthfully, live fearlessly. There's a certain kind of silence that only warriors know. The silence after you've wiped your own tears because there was no one else to do it. The silence after you've held it together for everyone else, then collapsed in your own arms behind closed doors. That silence, it's not weakness, it's power. It's the place where you learned how to rise again, how to speak life into your own spirit, how to become the friend, the protector, the motivator you were waiting for. That silence taught you everything. That's why you're different now. That's why you no longer move with desperation. You've learned to sit with yourself. You've learned to hear your own voice above the noise. You've learned how to lead from within. And because of that, you don't need crowds to feel relevant. You don't need applause to feel valuable. You've already been validated by the very storms that tried to break you. You passed the test they didn't even know you were taking. See, pain introduced you to the strongest version of you. You didn't meet your power when things were easy. You met it in the valley. You met it in rejection. You met it in heartbreak. You met it in those silent moments when all you had was faith and forward motion. And now you walk with a quiet kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't announce itself, but demands attention, the kind that speaks without words, the kind that tells every room, I've been through it, and I'm still standing. That's what they don't understand. They see the strength, but they don't know the suffering. They admire the glow, but they don't know the grind. They celebrate your presence, but they never saw the process. So when they try to reduce you to who you were before the fire, just smile, because you know what you paid to become who you are now. You know that this version of you, this wise, grounded, resilient version, came at the cost of nights you thought would never end. But here's the truth. That pain didn't break you. It built you. It didn't disqualify you. It defined you. And now you're not just surviving, you're leading. You're leading with empathy. You're leading with vision. You're leading with the kind of wisdom that only comes from walking through what others avoid. And because of that, your impact hits different. Your words land differently. Your energy shifts rooms because it's backed by authenticity. It's rooted in experience. You've become the kind of person who knows how to hold space for others because you had to hold space for yourself. You've become the kind of soul who can pour into others, because you learned how to pour into yourself when no one else would. And you've become the kind of leader who understands that true influence isn't about being seen. It's about seeing others, seeing their pain, seeing their potential, seeing what they can't yet see in themselves. That's your gift now. That's your reward for the pain. You get to move through life with a depth and a purpose most people never discover. You get to lead not from perfection, but from perspective. Not from status, but from soul. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Not the armor you wear, but the healing you've earned. So keep walking with your head high, not because life is perfect, but because you've been through hell and didn't lose your heart. Keep speaking your truth, not to be heard, but to heal. Keep showing up, not for applause, but for alignment, because you've already won. The world just doesn't know it yet. You fought battles no one will ever understand, and now you carry peace no one can take away. You're not chasing strength anymore. You've already got it. Now you're chasing purpose. You're chasing alignment. You're chasing the version of yourself that doesn't need validation, just vision. Because once you've walked through enough darkness, you stop playing small. You stop begging people to see you. You stop waiting to be chosen. You realize you were chosen when you survived what was meant to destroy you. You were chosen when you kept believing without evidence, when you kept building without applause, when you kept showing up when all you had was faith. And now you've got a story, a real one that doesn't just inspire, it transforms. One that doesn't just sound good, it means something. And it's time to stop hiding it. It's time to stop shrinking around people who never saw the battle scars that made you a warrior. It's time to walk boldly into your next chapter, because you earned it. Every page of pain prepared you for this moment. Every lonely night, every setback, every silent prayer, every door that closed, every season of waiting. It was all part of the plan. You're not here to repeat cycles. You're here to break them. You're not here to blend in. You're here to rise, to shift things, to set a new standard. And that standard starts with you, with how you carry yourself, with how you protect your energy, with how you honor your boundaries, with how you refuse to let the past define you, but instead refine you. You fought private wars that taught you the value of peace. You endured chaos that taught you the power of stillness. You lost people who taught you to hold tight to your identity. And now you're not the same. You can't be. The person you were before the battle wouldn't survive where you're going next. That version had to be stripped, stretched, shaken, so the real you could rise. And now you know, growth hurts. Healing isn't linear. Progress isn't always pretty, but it's worth it. Every tear you cried in silence, it watered the seeds of strength you walk in today. Every disappointment, it cleared the path for divine appointments. Every no you heard, it was redirection, not rejection. And the version of you reading this right now, that's the one you've been becoming all along. So don't you dare minimize your progress because other people don't understand your process. Don't you dare go back to being small just to make others comfortable. Don't dim your light because it exposes their shadow. Don't play down your strength because they never saw the training. They weren't there. They didn't see the war, but they'll see the result. They'll see the calm in your eyes, the confidence in your step, the quiet fire in your voice. They'll feel the presence of someone who's been through it, but never became it. You're not just here to survive anymore. You're here to thrive, to lead, to walk in power, love, and a sound mind. And whether they understand you or not, whether they clap or not, whether they stay or not, you keep going. Because this isn't about proving anything to them. This is about fulfilling everything within you. You fought battles no one will ever understand. And now you're building a life no one can ever take from you. You want to know what separates the strong from the unstoppable? It's not just talent, or looks, or who's the loudest in the room. It's the ones who kept walking when the path disappeared. It's the ones who kept pushing when the applause stopped. It's the ones who learned how to lead themselves before they ever led anyone else. And that's you. You didn't just go through pain, you studied it. You learned from it. You let it shape your instincts. That's why you can walk into a room and feel the energy shift before a word is spoken. That's why your silence is louder than most people's performance. Because you earned your peace. You didn't borrow it. You didn't fake it for social media. You earned it through nights when your mind was loud and hope was quiet. You earned it through decisions that no one else had to live with but you. And now, you walk with intention. You don't move fast. You move sure. You don't explain everything anymore because your energy already speaks. And if they can't hear it, they're not meant to. You're past trying to prove anything to anyone. Let them talk. Let them wonder how you came back better. Let them ask how you kept it together. You don't owe them an explanation. You owe yourself a future. One that honors your struggle. One that reflects your growth. One that shines, not in spite of the scars, but because of them. You fought battles in your mind that would have crushed someone else. You stood in the fire and refused to let it burn away your faith. You prayed when it didn't make sense. You moved forward when you had every reason to fall back. That's not just survival. That's spiritual strength. That's what makes your success sacred. And let me tell you something powerful. Your comeback doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to be real. It needs to be rooted. It needs to be aligned. It needs to be the kind of comeback that doesn't scream, "Look at me." It whispers, "Watch what God can do." Because when you've truly healed, you don't flex. You flow. You don't seek revenge. You seek results. You don't carry bitterness. You carry wisdom. And now, you're walking into a season that doesn't require you to fight the same way you used to. Because what once broke you, now builds you. What once delayed you now directs you. And what once confused you, now clears the path. So stop doubting if you're ready. You're not only ready, you're necessary. The world needs your story. The world needs your strength. The world needs your truth. Even if they don't understand the battle, they will feel the blessing. Because your journey carries a frequency that only the wounded healed can recognize. Your presence gives permission for others to rise. You're a walking miracle, and don't let this world water that down. You're not here by accident. You're not breathing by chance. You were kept. You were carried. You were called. So walk like it. Speak like it. Move like it. You didn't just make it out of the war. You became the weapon. Now step into the world like you know who you are. You've walked through enough fire to stop apologizing for your shine. You've cried enough tears to stop explaining your joy. You've sacrificed enough sleep to stop playing down your peace. This new version of you, it was forged, not found. It was built, not borrowed. So don't let anyone make you feel guilty for the life you had to fight for. They didn't bleed with you, so they don't get to block your blessings. You don't owe smallness to people afraid of your power. You don't owe silence to people who ignored your struggle. And you definitely don't owe access to anyone who couldn't see your value before the glow-up. Protect your light. Protect your peace. Protect your time like it's gold. Because it is. You know how hard you worked to get here. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're not going backward. Not for comfort. not for company, not for anything. Because now your life is a message, a testimony, a mirror for the ones still fighting battles in silence. You show them what's possible. You show them what survival looks like when it matures into strength. You show them what happens when you stop breaking and start building. When you stop hiding and start healing. You show them that it's possible to go through the valley and still walk like you're royalty. So let this be the moment you stop shrinking. Let this be the moment you stop seeking permission. Let this be the moment you declare, without apology, I made it. I fought for this. I bled for this. I prayed for this. And I'm not going to lose it trying to make it palatable for people who didn't see the process. You fought battles no one will ever understand. And now, you walk with an authority no one can fake. The world tried to bury you. Life tried to break you. But here you are, unfolding, expanding, elevating. You are proof that quiet battles birth the loudest victories. And your very existence is a reminder that no matter what it looks like, you were built to overcome. Now breathe deep, stand tall, and walk forward with purpose. This next season, it's yours. Own it, speak it, live it. Because you didn't survive for nothing. You didn't cry for nothing. You didn't rebuild for nothing. You survived so others could see what surviving looks like with grace. You fought battles no one will ever understand. But now, your strength will be the testimony they can never forget. There's something sacred about surviving what was sent to silence you, about rising with grace after being buried in doubt, about finding peace where there was once only pressure. And that's where you are now. Not broken, not bitter, but rebuilt, stronger, wiser, clearer. You don't just walk into rooms anymore. You walk in with weight. Not the weight of the past, but the weight of purpose. And people feel that. They feel it in your stillness, in your strength, in your spirit, because you fought battles no one saw and came back with something they can't explain. Now let me talk to you straight. The next level of your life isn't going to require more hustle. It's going to require more healing. You've already proved you can push. You've already proved you can grind, can survive, can fight. But now it's time to lead from peace, to build from alignment, to move with clarity, not chaos. Because when your soul is settled, your power becomes unstoppable. That's where the real glow up happens. Not in being louder, but in being lighter. Not in adding more, but in releasing what no longer serves you. And maybe that means letting go of relationships that no longer match your growth. Maybe it means walking away from environments that can't hold your vision. Maybe it means forgiving people who never apologized, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Because freedom isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, spiritual. And you didn't survive all that just to carry dead weight into your destiny. You fought battles no one will ever understand. But now it's time to stop surviving and start soaring. You've got wings now. Don't let fear talk you into crawling again. You didn't come this far to play small. You didn't come this far to repeat cycles. You didn't come this far just to exist. You came to expand. So expand. Speak the vision. Move the needle. Lead with love. Let the old version of you rest. That chapter is finished. The one who doubted, delayed, and dimmed their light to make others comfortable, leave them behind. Because the version of you that's rising, they're ready, they're refined, they're resilient, and most importantly, they're real. And don't be surprised when people say, you've changed. You have. That was the point. You were never meant to stay the same. You were meant to evolve, to elevate, to become. So let them talk. Let them sleep. Let them scroll past. You've got a legacy to build, You've got purpose to fulfill. You've got generations waiting on you to win. So from now on, walk like every step is sacred. Speak like your words shape the future. Move like your life is your message, because it is. You're not just a survivor, you're a symbol, a sign that it's possible to go through hell and still come out whole. You fought battles no one will ever understand, but now it's time the world understands the power you've become because of it. If you made it this far, drop 100 in the comments so I know you're part of the 1% who's serious about growth.